Well, Nick, after the performance we had last week, although we only won 1-0, we dominated the game and we played really well. And today you've come out with the same team. Can you give us your thoughts on the game today, where you think it went right, where it went wrong, obviously with a 3-1 defeat?
Yeah, obviously on reflection straight away, I'm very, very disappointed with the result. I thought first half, I thought we dominated the game. I thought we had good chances but didn't take them. And then on their one chance they scored. Again, I think we should have done better with the defending in that respect, but then we dominated it, and I really thought that we'd go out the second half and dominate the game again, and I really believed that we would get something from the game. Obviously the second goal so early on, changes the game again, and it's an old cliche that the goals do change it, and then obviously we got ourselves back into it, and then conceded a very sloppy third one from a set piece or from a cross or whatever, and then in the last 20-25 minutes I really didn't like what I was really seeing on the pitch. Really, we got very messy, and the body language changed, and it wasn't us, and so at the moment I'm standing there thinking, we haven't represented the club as well as we should have done today in lots of areas. However, there were areas there where we thought we did okay in, and on reflection, obviously, it's a really disappointing defeat, because I thought we should have got something from the game. We should be getting something here. We should be getting at least a draw or a win away at Atherton Collieries. But when you're conceding 3 goals, it becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah, because obviously looking at it, analysing the first half, we could all say we were the better side. We hit the bar, whether it bounced behind the line or not. Again, it didn't. We weren't there, but we looked good enough to actually get something out of the game. But then again, they had the one chance, whether it was a goalkeeper error or whether it was a defensive error, but they get one chance and they bang it in the back of the net. How did you see that sort of moment?
Well, as I say, we had lots of domination with the ball first half. More than probably we've had any game this season. They set off in a low block and let us have it, and we moved the ball well. And I thought John O down the right hand side was a threat, and Quilks in the 10, he was sharp, and we looked like we were on top of them. And then we concede territory in the middle of the park. A ball gets turned into a channel, the 9 gets onto it, Callum's got to make a decision whether he comes or not. He comes, he doesn't get there, and the lads finished it, and it's just one ball. It's just like one ball, as they caught out our whole defence, and he's in. And we've just had the same conversation in there. I've got to start seeing other teams having the same influences that we have, because the set piece goal for the third goal, there's no one anywhere near him in the middle of the 6-yard box. It just can't happen at this level. And as a management team, we take complete responsibility for that, but the players have got to start taking that responsibility on the pitch as well. And we've discussed what our expectations are on several occasions from all 3 sections of the pitch, our defenders, our midfielders and our forwards, what our expectations are, and they've got to start meeting those expectations.
Yeah, because I can fully understand no change in the team today because of a good win last week at home. Obviously, can you explain, obviously Scott Warren was here today but not included in the squad. Is he injured, or was he just not included?
No, because of an injury he hasn't been able to train this week at all, so we wanted him around us today just to check his fitness levels, but our physio Eddie's done some work with him today and he seems like he's back to full fitness, so hopefully he'll have a good week with us this week and be available for next Saturday. But as I say, I think Kitch said in his interview last week, our training session Thursday was probably the sharpest I think we've ever had. We had an absolute great session. We've had a great week, and I really hoped we took it into today's game. And in some aspects we did. But the basics of football is you've got to make sure you put the ball in the net one end and keep it out the other end. And today the basics wasn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah, so obviously we've had this defeat today. We're obviously going back into the trophy again next Saturday. You've got a couple of nights of training, and obviously Kitch will be back from his work commitments that he's had this weekend. So I assume you'll be going through this and seeing where we can obviously turn what's happened today into a positive for next Saturday.
Yeah, I think we've just had a conversation about where do we learn from it, because you've got to learn from every situation that you put yourself into, and the lads generally are pretty good at that. They put their hands up and say where we need to improve, and we work on it on a Tuesday and Thursday, but you've got to put that into action on the pitch. And I think we're 8 games in now, and we've got a kind of idea of what we want to be doing. but we've got to make sure we do it with more consistency, because the consistency is a big thing, and we've got to look at how we play and away from home and how we're making sure that we stay in games longer periods, because I think that's Lower Breck, Shifnal, now today where we're conceding far too many goals away from home, and that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, so one last thing, obviously, is the squad now, are you still looking, or do you believe the players that you've got, the 17 or 18, are probably good enough to get us up that table? I mean, we're up there anyway, but push into that for their playoff positions.
I think we put this squad together with the assumption that we think this is good enough to be there, but then that goes on results as well. And I think at step 4 level, you're always looking, you're always seeing what else is around to see whether you think that will strengthen our squad as well. And we'll probably be going into a period now where the pitches are starting to turn a little bit more, and so at the moment, we're quite happy with the squad. However, that needs to be turned into results. And at the moment, we're too up and down. That consistency needs to happen, and that consistency needs to be their performance on the pitch. And so as always, we'll look, but we need to make sure someone, if they are coming in, are better than what we've got, not just as a player, but as a person, because the culture of the club is really, really important as well.
Okay, thank you for that, Nick, and on forward next week to the FA Trophy at Inkbarrow. Have you ever just been there?
I've never been in Inkbarrow, no. So
it's new.
A new one for all of us. But again, it's an away game for a team similar level to ourselves, step 4. And so I don't know how they've got on today, but we need to prepare ourselves this week, making sure we go there to represent the club properly.
Thank you, Nick.